All right, guys, we are back with another episode of Men and Mental. Shout out to everybody that's listening on Spotify and Apple, but gotta give a huge shout out to the people who are tuning in through YouTube. Guys, the YouTube family, kinfolk, if you're new here, you're listening or watching for the first time, I advise everybody to go back to the first two episodes. There's a lot of great things we discussed there, and overall, just a very good topic and can give you an idea of what to expect in this episode. Excuse my dog. She just likes to make noises, apparently. But at this very second, I'm not really sure what I'm going to name this. Initially, I was going to name it Separating Reality from Social Media. And I think that's a very good topic to kind of start off with right now. So let's just dive into it. What I mean when I say separating reality from social media is that so many people, especially young adults, especially kids, they see people who may be 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, whatever, and they may be doing, somewhat well, maybe a little successful, and they put this pressure on themselves to have to achieve that at the exact same rate and at the exact same time and trying to do the exact same thing. Now, it's not a problem then. Like, if you want to put the work in and try to achieve that at that age, then go for it, right? The problem comes from those who don't achieve it by that age or by that time, and then all of a sudden they feel like, oh yeah, I'm not successful. I didn't do what I needed to do. Like, you put so much pressure on yourself to try to match what you see on social media, when in reality, all you got to do is run your own race. That's all you got to do. Put your own time in at your own pace. You don't have to compare your life to anybody that you see on social media, because you never really know what goes on behind closed doors on social media at the end of the day. And that's not to say anything bad goes on behind closed doors, but behind closed doors, they could be working 10 times than what they actually showed, and that's what got them to that level, right? But social media is like a very small fraction of reality, and I think it's important to know that everybody out there is an individual. Right? Just because you see this person, you try to imitate it, and then when the imitation doesn't work, you start to feel sad because you don't feel successful. Right? I think it's very important to set realistic goals for yourself, but also outline the plans as to how you're going to achieve those goals. But it's also very important to know how to pivot through those goals, right? For example, let's say you set a goal to have this amount saved, right? Let's just say it's $5,000, right? Let's say you plan to have that amount coming out of college. So that's 22, 23, right? Let's say something happens. It could be anything. Something major happens with your car, and you got to spend about $1,200 of that, right? Now that leaves you with what? $3,800, right? That's still pretty good coming out of college. But it's also knowing how to pivot and be like, okay, I'm going to take this $3,800 and I'm going to do this with it, right? As opposed to $5. You probably could have took $5 and did this, but now you have $38. So you have to outline your goals as to what can you do with X amount of dollars, not just one specific amount, but all amounts. So that way, when something happens, you still have a plan and a guide that you've already pivoted towards, that you're going to go in this direction. Does that make sense? I hope it does. But like I said, between these young kids and just putting so much pressure on yourself, it's like an unnecessary struggle. And as a matter of fact, I say that because I read, let me find it. So I'm reading this book. It's called The Unapologetic Guide to Black Mental Health, right? Phenomenal book. I advise everyone out there to go get it. It's very good substance for anyone, to be honest. And It's a lot to soak in, a lot to read, and it's helped me quite a bit. So if you do have the book, or if you don't, you can always just look it up through Audible or whatever. And this is page 39. It's called Unnecessary Struggle. It says you might be stuck in thinking appearances matter more than addressing what's really going on with you. So we're gonna discuss that line a little bit. Let's let that soak in. There's a lot of people who think they have to showcase appearances, right? Those appearances could be fake, to be honest. But you have to put on this front as to you're just as happy, successful, or doing good, and this, that, and the third. You have to make that appearance known. You want other people to feel that about you. Know that about you. When in reality, on the reality side, like I said, that may not be the case. And this is where the mental struggle it's like tug of war at this point, because in reality, you have to get up every morning and look yourself in the mirror and know that what you're putting on social media isn't necessarily your truth, right? That's going to damage your head, because you're constantly going to be in your head trying to be like, okay, I got to put on this front. But on this side, it's like, bro, that's not who you really are. And it's like, at this point, it's like tug of war. You're pulling on yourself. And that's going to be damaging, because at some point, reality is going to hit you hard. And then you're not going to know what to do. You're going to start to fall apart, cry a little bit, which are all things that are good, because then those allow you to really just open up and really seek out the help that you may really need to make your reality your truth and something that you're happy and living in, right? And it all goes back to just putting in the work. So many people are scared to struggle. That's one thing, but they're also scared to show that they're struggling, which is where the appearances on social media come from, right? So in reality, you're struggling. You're really just on your journey, and you're really just trying to make things happen, which are all fine. At the end of the day, all of that's fine. But in reality, you want people to think you've already made it. You've already accomplished. You're already successful. It's like, what happens when shit hit the fan? Like, what happens then? Because then it's like, damn, where do I go from here? So at the end of the day, just make sure you are mentally intact in reality, rather than just trying to showcase and put on fronts for social media, because that shit ain't gonna get you nowhere. I finished reading. Now it says, in actuality, to elevate your PF, you may need to rid yourself of artificial stuff, such as advancement in a career you despise. And that's very important. Some people may relate. It depends on how old you are. So if you already started in a career that you thought you were going to love, but you absolutely ended up hating, that's a very common thing, to be honest. And there's far too many times where people where they really just put so much pressure on themselves to advance through this career that they don't even really like. And that takes a mental toll on you, because you're putting in all of this work, really just hating yourself, really just destroying your mental, doing something that you hate so much, but you're also trying to be an overachiever in this very same space. Like, those two things just don't make sense. So I think it's very important, and if you do fall into a path that you're not necessarily happy in, that's fine at the time, but you should start to build something. You should start to build towards something that you are actually happy in, so that way when this gets secured, you know how to walk away from exactly what was making you unhappy, and you can begin to live in your truth. Now, the next one is, it says, the next one is unaffordable shoes, handbags, and social events, pushing your credit card debt out of control. Now, we've all been there where we kind of want to hang out, want to have the fun. We may not be able to afford it 100%, but we don't want to feel like we're missing out, right? Now, I think it's very important to know that there are ways to have fun without having to just go too crazy. It's just simple of just having people over at the house, just cooking some food, entertain, you know what I'm saying? Just really just having a good time with your friends in a very genuine space. You don't necessarily have to go out and try to flex and pay for this and make it seem like you got it, because in reality that does nothing but hurt you. And then if something was to happen financially or mentally in your, that in your personal life that you were obviously keeping a secret because you're out here trying to flex, your friends are going to look at you and they're going to be confused because you didn't necessarily communicate things correctly, or try to lean on them at least to let them know, like, hey, you know what I'm saying, I ain't really got it like that right now. So, you know what I'm saying, let's just do something different, or just try to have the conversation with your close friends to where everybody we can all come together as a team, as a group, as a friendship, and just go from there. No real friend is going to try to force you to do anything or spend some money to make it look like you got it. Like, and if they do, that's not your real friend. Fuck that. That's not your real friend at all. Last one. The pursuit of compliments and admiration for others, though they don't even know the real you. Now, that is something that sits with me for sure, because I've been on social media for quite a long time, and there was a time where I did try to look for admiration and those compliments from other people, and it's a very slippery slope, because when you start to try to soak in those compliments from people who don't know you, or the admiration, you're gonna mistakenly start to soak in the hate too, right? So if you get so caught up in wanting people to love you, wanting people to say good things about you, and then you really you soak that in, like you start to feed off that, you're gonna unintentionally start to let in that hate too. So when people start saying bad things about you, it could be something simple, you're ugly, you know what I'm saying, shit like that, you're gonna mistakenly, unintentionally let that in too, to where you're gonna be looking in the mirror, like you see all of these great things, but it's gonna be like, damn, why does this one person think I'm ugly? Like damn, am I ugly? Like, all of these people say this, but why does this person think I'm ugly? And that's why it's very important to be intact with yourself mentally, in reality, because on social media, people could say all kind of things about you. They can hate you, they can love you, all kind of things. And if that's what you live for, it's a very slippery slope, because shit can hit the fan quick. Everybody can love you one minute and they can hate you the next. And it's like, if that's what you feed off of, then where do you go from there? You go from being so happy with yourself because other people are happy with you, and then when they start to hate you, you start to hate yourself because everybody else hates you, you know? And then it starts to mess up your mental to the point where you're looking around and you're trying to really identify who you are, because your whole identity was based off what people think of you. People that don't even fucking know you, you know? And like I said, when they love you, you love yourself, you're happy, life is good, everybody's loving you, you're getting all these compliments, this admiration, that's good. You know what I'm saying? Life is good then. But on the other end, if people started to hate you, then it's like, damn, people don't even like me, I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, you can't live like that. You know what I'm saying? You gotta wake up every day in the mirror and be able to look at yourself comfortably, happily, and accept exactly what you're seeing in the mirror, right? So that way, whatever people say on social media, you just accept it for what it is and keep it moving. You don't let it bother you. You don't let it destroy you. And like I said, I've been there. For certain things that are being said, they can absolutely destroy you. They can destroy your mental. And a lot of it can just come from when people say certain things about you, and in your head, you just know it's not true, but you see it so much, it really starts to destroy you. It really starts to break you down piece by piece. You know, so I had to learn myself that what people are saying, whether that's good or bad, I have to accept who I am and what I know, and let that be number one, and everything else just comes after. You know, how I feel about myself and what I think about myself is all that should matter. Like I said, for you guys as well, whatever you think about yourself is all that matters. Build yourself up. Give yourself compliments. Admire yourself. Put in the work and just go on your own journey. Don't just look for the admiration on social media, because like I said, there's some haters out there. There are going to be people who just say shit just to say it. You know, they may not even feel like this. They just kind of want a reaction out of you. You know, simple, just stupid shit like that. So, trying to figure out the direction to go in. Now, when it comes to social media and separating it from reality, you want to make sure that before you start to portray yourself in a certain way on social media, that you have built a solid foundation in reality. You've built yourself up. You have a very good foundation, and that's where you're happy at. So whatever you show on social media is whatever you're willing to share. You're comfortable with that. Far too many times people get on social media and share way too much, because they want that certain admiration to that personal thing that really should be kept personal, but you want the admiration to it, So, but you don't have to do that if you're already intact with yourself in reality. You have to show these personal things to try to get people to give compliments on them. You know what I mean? So, again, shout out to the YouTube family. We back. But I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who's been listening to the last 2 podcasts. I checked the analytics for it, and the podcast has been doing exceptionally well. We've been trending a few times on the educational charts of Apple. I'm not too sure about Spotify, but it has been great. I hope it continues to go well. We're not on YouTube, so everybody that's listening, if you also want to come over and watch, feel free. Do both, do all, however you feel comfortable. But I just kind of want to say a couple more things, and then we'll just kind of get out of here. But when it comes to, so I just recently took a trip to Dubai, right, for New Year's. And to give a little backstory, at first I wasn't going to go. I'm not too really sure. I was just having doubts with traveling. You know what I mean? And that's for a number of reasons. Like it was just a lot of things that was on my mind at the time coming into the new year. And something just felt off, So I decided to have a conversation with one of my friends and just kind of explain it to him that, I'm just not really feeling up to it. Excuse me. And to note, that's important because I was able to lean on one of my friends in a moment where I was feeling a little down about something. Excuse me. But pretty much told me, he was like, look, man, if you allow certain things, outside forces, to hold you back, then you're never going to get to where you want to be. The outside forces are going to dictate where you go next and how your life is going to be in the new year. And I looked and I was like, man, that is phenomenal advice, because the last thing I want to do taking into the new year is a decision that I didn't control myself. Instead, I let outside forces control it. There's no way for me to bring the new year in like that. So I said, forget it. I booked my flight. I booked the one-way, actually. Not that I had intentions of staying, but it was just, I don't know. I just booked the one-way. But, booked the one-way, went out there, and I told myself when I got there that I'm not going to let anything stress me. I'm not going to stress about anything. Coming into a new year can be stressful for some because it's a time where some people can just feel like this is my year, but you already have this pressure on yourself of now you got to try to achieve all of these things, and you start to be like, damn, I just don't know what to do. I don't know where to begin. I told myself, I'm going to just float into this new year. I'm not going to make any New Year's resolutions. I'm just going to float into this new year and just be exactly who I want to be. I'm not going to just try to put pressure on myself or make these different New Year's resolutions. I'm going to set goals, of course, but I'm just going to float. I'm just going to float into it. I'm just going to do the things that I love, share the things that I love, be who I am, make my YouTube videos, and everything's just going to float. Do my podcast, And that was my idea. Got to Dubai, had an amazing time. And it was at one point where I'm sitting outside and then I'm just thinking to myself how far I've come, where I was a year prior, and everything that's happened in between. And this was a very rewarding thing to do because everything that happened in between, some good, a lot bad, and for me to just be able to sit there and appreciate the journey that I took in that 1 year span, it made me very appreciative for the fact that, one, I have an amazing group of friends. That's number one. Number two, I'm very happy as to the mental state that I have found myself in. You know, I've achieved a level of happiness that, you know, for, like I said, a year ago, I wasn't too sure was achievable. But I started to really just love myself, work on myself, really just think about the things that I love and then going in that direction, like just going this way. Rather than just trying to coast in a direction that I just wasn't too sure about, I literally just full on went in a direction that I just absolutely love. And for me, just like I said, sitting there thinking in my head, it was just it was a lot to take in, of course, but it was just very appreciative of just everything that's happened in the last year. Like I said, good or bad, I feel like all of that has been a stepping stone to who you see now. Because like I said, this wasn't always me. Now, going back to social media, and I'm gonna give you a little bit of insight on how I learned to separate reality from social media. So years ago when I first was on social media, I was young, found myself in a space that I was kind of unsure about, and it became tough because at that time I didn't really know who I was. Like, I didn't really know, you know, who am I? Like, how do people see me? How do they view me? Right? And compliments were there, but there were also a couple of hate comments that really just, it made me feel a certain way, you know? It could be small things like you're ugly or you can't dress, or, you know, just things like that. And I would always look at myself and be like, damn, like you're ugly, or damn, you really can't dress. So now I'm throwing myself into clothes, into, you know what I'm saying, trying to just make my appearance better. When in reality, I wasn't even doing it for myself. Just doing it for, you know, social media. And it never worked out because I constantly had to do it. Because you know why? Like I said, they're haters on social media. People gonna call you ugly every day of the week. And if you constantly try to evolve your appearance just to satisfy these people, you're gonna be doing it forever. You're never gonna get to a point where it's just, you're completely good now. Everybody is just happy. You have no haters, you know? So that's one thing that I had to learn, where it's like, you know what? On this side, I have to learn how to just really be happy with the way that I look in reality, you know? So that way, when I come back over here to social media, whatever people are saying, shit don't matter. You know what I mean? And like I said, it was tough. It was definitely a battle, because like I said, for a long time, I didn't really know who I was. I'm just kind of coasting through this thing. I don't really know what the fuck's going on half the time. It's just, everything is just happening and I'm just there. You know, I didn't never try to establish an identity of who I wanted to be on social media. You know, I just kind of coasted through and just was there. And like I said, one day I just had to wake up and just look in the mirror and be like, man, who are you? Like, what do you stand for? What do you represent? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what is the long-term goal out of all of this? And it was tough. It was very, very tough, and it took a mental toll on me for quite a while. I had an independent therapist that I spoke to once a week, and that really, really gave me some insight into just how to become yourself. You know, because a lot of us at times can run around and we're pretending to be someone we're not, right? So becoming yourself is very important. Like, who you are, things that you love, things that you like to do. That's the things that you want people to accept. And you know, I cried a lot on therapy calls, all of that stuff, and it got to a point where I started to really understand the direction that I wanted to go in. not necessarily, not necessarily just where I wanted to be, but I knew where I wanted to start. Does that make sense? And I feel like that's very important. A lot of us always get caught up in the end result rather than the start. Like, where do you want your start line to be? Where do you want to start building that foundation? And I feel like that's the most important, because if you start too fast and your foundation is shaky and you're chasing after this result, it's just going to come crumbling down because your foundation is weak. So for me, it was always about starting with a solid foundation, starting somewhere. And that somewhere for me was loving myself, becoming myself. All of these things had to be built before I started any kind of business venture. Right? I wanted to secure who I was in reality first. So that way when I started to share myself more and started to do more things like Inner Athlete, where we talk to kids and whatnot, I wanted to be 100% within myself. So the knowledge that I do share with the kids, they're 100% receptive of it, but it's also genuine knowledge that I'm giving because I've done it. I've done the work myself, you know? So a message that I want everyone to kind of take from this particular episode is that make 2022 the year of loving yourself. Just only then you can expect someone to love you if you don't love yourself. You know what I mean? Now, a lot of people will love you even though you don't love yourself. But the problem comes, you won't necessarily know how to accept that love because you haven't even accepted the love from yourself. You know? So mentally, I want everyone to kind of just start to just read a book, read a passage, or look up some articles about mental health, and really just start to dive deep into how us as men, even women, how we operate, how we think, and how can we achieve better results out of things. Like, how do we get better as a whole, as a friendship group, as a family, you know what I mean? Business, it's just everything, you know? I think that would be a very good homework assignment for everyone. But again, shout out to everybody listening on Spotify and Apple, and shout out to the YouTube family, the kinfolk, for pulling up to watch. Let me know what you guys think of the YouTube episode. This is the first. I'm probably not gonna edit this one. Normally the audios are edited, but I'm probably just gonna upload it fully. I feel like I did it pretty well at letting the conversation flow. And but again, I love you guys. I appreciate every single one of you who've pulled up. Again, the podcast is doing extremely well, and I love every single one of you guys for that. But let's keep the conversation going, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions for me, please don't hesitate to shoot them through a DM, or if you have a topic that you feel really passionate about. I think the next episode I'm going to start doing guests. So if you feel really passionate about something that you want to kind of jump on and have a conversation with me, or just kind of have a conversation with the audience about, please feel free to DM me. I'm more than welcome to have whoever on. It does not matter. You do not have to have any level of status. That's number one. You can be anyone who wants to hop on. But again, shout out to the YouTube family. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, that subscribe button. We got more content coming. And shout out to the family on Spotify and Apple. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think. Please shoot me some DMs to give me some ratings. Just, I always want to try to make these podcasts better. And I can't do that without you guys. So please feel free to give me all of the criticism that you guys may have, whether that's audio or video, or, the flow of the conversation, anything. Please feel free. But see you guys later. See you in the next episode of Men and Mental, and we out of here. Peace.